Information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
I've been here for about an hour. I didn't just enter the studio.
Did you get anything done?
I thought you were bringing donuts. I got here early.
And I
thought our phone screener was going to bring chocolate chip cookies. And what I got was fat pills. Or fat sauce or fat powder. And just before I let Chris get started, let me start off today's show with the most important thing you're going to hear all day today. People who are moderate alcohol drinkers gain less weight over time than people who abstain from drinking. Boom! Right there. That's my plan. I am on a successful track. Finally, I have found something that is a key to me. But I'm not losing any weight. But maybe I'm not drinking enough.
That's probably the problem.
Wait, it says here, moderate alcohol drinker. That's the problem.
What does moderate mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Moderate means that you didn't fall down.
At least 3 to 5 drinks a night.
Right.
Every night.
And what sort of... it depends on what you put in there, too. So we have a full 2 hours today. 65 hours worth of material, only 15 minutes of it any good. So, and I just went through the first 4 minutes of the good stuff. So we'll be back to you in the second hour with something else. We brought in our Facebook follower winner, Wayne Mackey is here. Wayne, how you doing? Pull that thing up in front of you.
I'm doing great.
Wayne's here. So Wayne got up early on a Saturday. He's not feeling too good. John's talking about pot brownies. And Chris is here. Hour number 2, we've got the gentleman from the Pro Arena folks are going to come in. Joshua Wood from Region Builders. I think Mike Tavares from Crown Downtown are going to be here in studio at hour 2 of 2. Christopher Lott is here because they won't let him out the building. And he's going to start off.
I don't get paid.
And he's going to start off the show, right? You don't get paid? You're just here on a good-natured event?
Man, I've been an intern for like 7 years.
I know. Well, pace yourself. This is not an easy job to run into. So what's on your mind there, CV?
Well, football season's almost started. I know everyone's excited for that.
Yep.
And everyone's hearing about injuries and how bad the players are getting injured. And one thing, like, here at the station, what you hear a lot from callers is like, oh, well, these guys, they're just not as tough as the guys back in the 60s and 70s. They just don't have that toughness. Well, the guys in the 60s and 70s, their biggest lineman was 275, and he was the big guy on the field. Now these guys are 320, 330, and they've got under 540s.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. These are car accidents on
Right.
every play. I mean, when someone says like, oh man, if you take that Steelers team from the 70s and put them in the league now, oh, they would destroy it. No way.
They get blown right by, huh?
They would get blown apart by the most average of teams. So I'm sick of hearing like, well, these guys aren't tough enough. You know what? You get out there, you get blown up by a 270 linebacker that's going at you full speed, and see how tough these guys are now.
That's why I like hockey, Chris, because basically you have linebackers on skates, so they're going even a little faster.
Oh, yeah.
And you're seeing and on skates are like 7'6". I mean, height wise, and they're a good 250.
Yeah, we got a kid at El Camino High School, 6'3", 310. Getting looked at by every college in town.
Is he on the team or is he on the lunchroom?
He's on the team, and he's got every record in the weight room.
And didn't they cut back like the preseason practices? So not only are you having to go out and get hit, but you can't get in you're not getting as much shape early on. Or
it's such a weird thing. So like these players are getting hurt at practice.
Yeah.
And then the thought is like, well, if they practice more, but then are you going to get hurt at practice or in the game? So
right. So I know this is not a sports show. This is the sports station. But what is your pick right now? So you have to give me your pick right now.
Super Bowl winners?
Yeah.
Right now.
Right. Or give me the
right now.
Give me one from each division.
Well, if I say Super Bowl, I just want to really say this to make all the 49er fans out there. I think Seattle has a pretty good chance to
I do too.
Win the Super Bowl.
I don't think the Niners get as far this year, only because now everybody knows what the guys, Kaepernick's up to, and they're going to be going for his head. I will predict this, that the Raiders will not get very far.
Whoa,
and
calm down.
And I am going totally out on a limb there. That and isn't it funny that you? Now we're totally, again, this is how the show goes off skew. So the Oakland A's still in first place?
No, they're behind the Rangers.
Okay, but they were in for a while, and they're obviously they're playing way better than the Giants. And yet you look at a game on TV, nobody in Oakland, everybody in San Francisco. San Francisco's getting their butt kicked. I think our high school team could probably beat San Francisco right now, and their place is full. So don't tell me that a building, a facility, and a location doesn't mean a whole bunch. It does. I mean, the Oakland place is a dump, and I think the draw is the building. AT&T, is just awesome. A phenomenal place. So, are you done now?
It's a little safer getting.
I'm done.
Too.
Okay. All right.
I'll probably chime in from time to time.
Yeah, you can chime in from time to time. Now, so I can prepare myself for greatness. Are you or are you not going to be doing the live rejoiners and those things, or are you going to go to the taped version? Or are you going to mix it up?
We'll throw a couple in, see if people could guess which one is which.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be tough. That'd be like guessing whether the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl or not. So. All right, that's Christopher Laud. You can, text him directly if you want. Let me give out the numbers here in the studio. If you want to jump in today, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140, I believe. It looks like this thing's working. I came in today, there's 85 screens in front of us, 14 pads of buttons, and I barely know how to work the phone.
I got nothing. I got a Vo Pro PC here I can't even get, basic internet.
I think this is the one here. You're supposed to be working on this one here, probably. So, who knows? You're probably looking at the oh, you know what? You're looking at the screen for this thing. Yeah. That's not even a PC. You're like Al Gore. You're trying to get the internet, and you're not even on the internet.
I better stop reading about these brownies and start eating them. This is crazy.
So we do once in a while hold some Facebook contests, and believe it or not, we have a few people that follow us on the Talkin' Money page. One of them is Wayne Mackey. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So Wayne showed up this morning on a Saturday and come down and check out the studio. This is more impressive than you could ever possibly imagine, isn't it?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm stunned.
It's amazing this place even operates, is what you're really trying to say. He's looking around going, this is it. This is the whole studio. I'm going to turn on some air for you, too, because this probably doesn't work. Oh, that does work. So what do you do? We'll give your business a plug. What do you do for fun, for a living?
For a living, I have a couple of small auto dealerships.
Okay.
In Sacramento.
You sell direct to consumer auto sale?
Yeah.
So do you buy vehicles from wholesalers? You buy them off the internet? You buy them from private parties?
From the auctions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys do you fix them up? You just turn right back around and flip them?
Little everything. Fix them.
Get them going?
Yeah.
What's the name of your business?
Matrix Funding.
Matrix Funding?
Mm-hmm.
So you go look him up. That's Wayne at Matrix Funding, and Wayne will be here until he gets so sick and tired of us, he just actually runs out the building, which is usually what happens. Chris tries to do that too, but we bolt the doors and don't let him go. What are you trying to do there, Ricky?
You got a mouse over there?
Do I have a mouse over here? Is that a mouse in your pocket? I'm not falling for that one again. That'll be the third time this week. There you go. Are you finally settled? Good thing we only have 2 hours.
Hey, look
now.
at this.
It works?
This is interesting.
Chris, he was looking at this thing and figuring out why the internet wouldn't work. This is what happened with Mr. Balmer by this.
I even did a reboot.
So how many pot brownies have you had today?
He's the official tester. Go ahead now. We've referenced your article 55 times now. What is the article?
So as we just discussed a few months ago, Colorado now has the recreational marijuana law where you can smoke pot recreational.
How else do you do it? Is it pro business? I'm a professional marijuana smoker. I normally get paid for this, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to.
We all know some professionals out there somewhere.
Yeah, I work with a couple.
But the challenge they're having is that by January, they have to everything from a joint to a brownie has to be labeled properly according to its potency, and they're having a little challenge with how to come up with a solution for their cannabinoid content so it's accurate. So when you buy your brownie, it says, like buying a beer, it says 3.2.
Yeah, or buy how much fat content in your food.
Exactly.
Oh, so you got to label your pot?
Yeah. So
that almost sounds counterculture. I don't.
So Claus Heslink, he says that he got into testing for the industry because as a chef, he was having trouble baking consistent marijuana-infused brownies for medicinal use. So he decided that he's going to start testing, and now they're trying to get a.
Now they can't get him off the wall.
Yeah, that too.
Because he's so fried, they don't know.
But they're looking for test people to come in and.
I'm sure there's a whole. We could probably ship some Californians there. And how do you clean your palate in between tests? So I know when you do like a little wine test, you get a little crack or something. What do you do in between pot brownie 1 and 2? I'm not sure like a little glass of milk will get you covered. I don't know. I'm telling you right now, if that's a paying job, there's going to be a steady stream of traffic leaving I-82 Colorado. Are they paying for that job? Or maybe just if it's free material.
Yeah, I'll have to read a little deeper into it for you.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm in the mortgage business, so most of us think that we're fairly high all the time. And the way rates are going, I might be taking up the pot brownie job. I'm sure there's like, how do you have a bad day at the pot tasting brownie?
And then we could just take a trip to Wisconsin and get on that roller coaster.
Oh, that thing is. I can't find it. It's the biggest wooden roller coaster in the world. 81-degree drop. Okay, so 90 degrees is straight down to the ground, folks. So 81-degree drop on a wooden roller coaster. Now that will get your brownie coming back the other direction. So I got to turn this thing off again. We are coming apart at the seams here today. We've got a lot of things to cover for 3 hours this week. On Thursday, I could tell you exactly what the NASDAQ was going to do. Because for 3 hours this week it was closed entirely. It was the first 3 hours I hadn't lost money in quite a while. So that closed down this week. And if you look at, they showed me a little chart here. This is actually pretty fascinating. After all of the 9/11 stuff that's gone on and all of the issues with everything being centralized, and a lot of companies took their businesses out of New York City, or at least they took some of their technology out of New York City and put it in the middle of the Midwest. So if something were to happen, their computers and their data and that stuff was not downtown NYC. But you look at how the NASDAQ works, and basically everything comes through one processing center. So all the trades and all the information all around the world comes through what they call the SIP, and that material puts it all together, makes some sense of it, and then distributes it back out to where it needs to go to make a trade. And that one location went down for 3 hours this week, and boom, the NASDAQ is closed for 3 hours. And that is a problem. And so they're trying to figure out now, what do you do about it? How do you get around it? How do you come up with a redundant system? What if someone targets that and wants to close the NASDAQ, close the deal down again? So it doesn't appear to be that it was anything deliberate, which they were afraid of. They actually notified the president that maybe someone had hacked in and shut the thing down. So that was the big news for the NASDAQ. And by 3 o'clock it was open. And one day later was this Friday? Let's see, what day is today here? Yeah, this was Friday. So Friday, the big news in the market was that Steve Ballmer, he recognized his name. His name has been brought up locally. He was one of the gentlemen that was going to put up some money with Chris Hansen to buy the Sacramento Kings. Steve Ballmer announced this week on Friday, surprisingly, he was going to quit his job at Microsoft. And unlike when people found out that Steve Jobs was going to have to leave Apple because of health concerns, where Apple took a dip, Microsoft took a jump, a big one. How much did you have?
7%.
7% in one announcement.
Boom.
So here's the deal. Now, if I could make a 7% increase on my stock, I would announce I'm quitting my job too, because he holds $11 billion worth of stock. So 7% is a fairly large number. In fact, you could probably buy the Kings with your change in your pocket and not even know you bought the Kings and not even care that they had a winning or losing season, or a team in up in Seattle. But I haven't seen that. First of all, I didn't know this. I didn't know that he and Bill Gates were college buddies. I didn't know that, and I also didn't know he has been there from the very beginning. I thought he came in later on, because all you ever hear about is Gates and Paul Allen. And now you look at there's some real bashing going on to this guy, and John has give me what was their value of that company in 2000?
Yeah, in 2000 they had a value of $603 billion.
Okay, so not a bad. And where are they at today?
$290 billion. So they're down half.
They're down half.
A little more than half.
So you lose $300 billion in a decade plus. People are not going to be entirely thrilled with you. And that's not all his fault. He didn't take over in 2000. But give me some other examples. There was some pretty. Give me some of the. What was AOL? Because AOL.
You guys remember AOL?
Yeah, you got mail. So AOL in 2000 was worth what?
$91 billion.
And what are they worth today?
$2.7
bucks.
Dollars.
That's dollars. Yeah.
So they've had a little drop.
And Yahoo is still around. They were pretty big.
Yeah, let's see here.
Wasn't
Yahoo was $63 billion. Now they're down to $29. So again, a little less than half.
And then you look at the end of that chart, the people that didn't exist in 2000.
Well, even this one company, Apple,
Yeah, I heard
was 18.
Apple's 18 billion.
Yeah, now they're at 455.
Ooh.
So they've increased
a little bit.
I could run the numbers real quick.
Yeah, 2,000% or something.
And then we have Google and Facebook that weren't even around in 2000. Now Google with a value of 290 billion, and Facebook with this article from Wall Street Journal stating 99 billion.
So this I wanted to bring up. We'll take a break. I've got a quiz question for you too. This I find interesting, and this is really where Mr. Ballmer is getting slammed. Forbes magazine, 2006. Mr. Ballmer told Forbes magazine, "I've got my kids brainwashed. You don't use Google and you don't use an iPod." This is what he told Forbes magazine, 2006. Forbes magazine says if he let him use them, he might understand the revolutionary impact of these products and kept his company going forward. Microsoft has not let their Office products, their Microsoft Office grouping of products, become available on iPads and iPods and other type of mobile devices. They haven't let it go out there. So internally, they're having a huge conflict with their own team, saying, "Hey, dummy! If you looked at it, who's bought a PC lately? I mean, nobody." And they came out with the what was the one they came out with the Tab? They just took a $900 million loss. Oh, the Surface. Anybody seen the Surface? They lost They wrote off $900 million in one quarter in loss for the Surface computer. So these guys don't necessarily have it all figured out, although they're still making money. So we got to take a quick first break. Got a lot of things to cover today. We'll take your calls and questions as well. If something's going on in your world, you got some questions, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. FHA came out with a major announcement this week. We'll discuss what it is and what it isn't. Wells Fargo has got some issues, and so does Chase. Everybody else, the mortgage business is going to go through a little retrenching here pretty quick. And a couple other news and notes. The home builders are trying to figure out what's going on in their world too. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Hour 2 of 2 today, as I mentioned. We'll have the Pro Arena folks coming in the studio and joining us as well. When we come back, Wayne's going to do a whole segment by himself, so that should be interesting considering he wasn't planning on that. We can go back to the Pop Brownie thing and just talk about Pop Brownies for the whole quarter too. I mean, virtually everybody's had some experience there. So our quiz question for...
Yeah, so we have Roundtable Pizza, Artesian Pizzas. We also have some tickets to Pablo Cruz coming up at Hellwig. That's September 14th.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, so Pablo Cruz, September 14th at Hellwig. And our first quiz question of the day is, which company has an average pace of $150,000 worth of sales every minute? $150,000 of sales every minute.
Is this a reference to your pot group in Colorado?
Probably not.
If they can figure out how to get those, internet type sales, they might be on there. So Brownie is at $150,000. So what company averages $150,000 a minute in sales?
A minute.
Wow. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. This is Talkin' Money. He's John Fodorero, Jeff Tarbell, Wayne Mackey. We're going to be
right back, Jack.
And now it's time for more Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
I'm guessing that one was live.
Are you sure about that?
It goes right with the music.
Hey, why are you doing Gloria stuff?
There's a point because I've got a video to share with
all right, I'll shut up. I'll listen
with the audience.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
So you were talking about Steve Ballmer earlier.
I was.
Talking about how he hasn't done that well with Microsoft.
Yeah. I didn't say he hadn't done well. I said that he's being ripped apart.
He's being ripped apart. I don't know why. He seems like a great leader. So I just wanted to share one of his presentations.
Okay, let's go with the Microsoft presentation by Steve Ballmer. I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Ballmer!
throw
I
up.
think he's gonna have a heart attack.
I have 4 words for you. I love this company. Yes!
That sounds like one of those you pay like a lot of money to go see those. That's the sum total of his speech, huh?
Amazing.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess that enthusiasm didn't carry over.
I just pictured you at a Comstock event.
Yeah, that's how
getting up, getting really excited.
That's how I start all events. I start every day that way, John.
Just fired up.
Yeah, ready to go with.
Usually it does involve heavy breathing. Though,
it does. I think he might have been on the pot brownie there a little bit. We our quiz question is still hanging out there, by the way. So this company, what is it? What's the?
This company earns $150,000. Actually, their sales pace is $150,000 every minute.
Every minute. And we did mention them in the earlier segment. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140 if you want some artisan flatbread pizza from Round Table. You want to go to see Pablo Cruz up at Hellwig Winery. That's September 24th?
That is September 14th.
September 14th. So we'll take the first couple callers on that. You can text us or call us if you'd like. Did get someone off the text line at the 916 said you can now finally get MS Office Suite on the Apple mobile products on a yearly subscription basis. So that was one of the criticisms that Microsoft was having. They were slow to come, and actually they blame Bill Gates for ignoring the internet. And I don't know what that means other than he could have owned it. He let the vice president get in there and beat him out of owning the internet. But so we'll let that question hang out there a little bit. Come back to that. Got a few things there. Wayne Mackey is our Facebook winner of the week, and I use that term very loosely. Winner meaning that he was conned into coming down here and listening to two idiots in front of him. But Wayne runs a business here in Sacramento, does some car sales. Used to be are you still a singer?
No, not anymore.
You were a singer.
Yeah.
I can have Chris throw some jams on there for you right now. What's if you want to get some rock and roll going?
I'm gonna pass.
You're gonna pass. We just heard Steve Ballmer hit his attempts. It couldn't be a whole lot worse than that, although it's possible. So you were a little rock and roll singer?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So Wayne was asking me. I was asking Wayne during the break, what are the issues, the financial issues in your world that you wake up and wonder about, and he says I always wanted to call, but I don't want to call. I said, well, you don't have to call now. You're sitting right there. So what was your question?
I
hold on a second.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go take Wayne on line one. Hey, Wayne, go ahead. What's your question?
I want to find out about if we're on the verge of a bubble, real estate bubble.
I have no idea. Thanks for calling, Wayne. We'll see you next week. If I knew that, I wouldn't be sitting here on a Saturday morning.
Well, what's your opinion?
My opinion. I'm just messing with you. Do I think we're in a bubble? And that is certainly a question that there's a lot of people that are sitting around on the sidelines saying, you know what, I think that things are being overinflated. So take the group from Blackstone. They came in, they bought up, was it 5,000 units? And they're not the only one. So a lot of really good homes have been taken off the market.
Did they stop buying?
They're still buying, as I understand.
They've slowed down a lot.
Yeah, I do know one realtor that does some sales for them. They are looking for specific prices, and so they have a formula. How much will it rent for? They have a formula, and they will pay you all cash. Are they buying as much? No, because they don't. The easy deals are gone. So the banks said, hey, here's John's bank. He's got 150 homes. We'll bulk sell them all to you for $125,000 a piece. That's easy for them. But now to have to go one and one and pick them off is very hard to do, and prices have come up. So do I think we're in a bubble? I hope not, but I do think that we're going to see things settle down a little bit. And you take a look at, and I bring this up because this is a good lead into to this. So new home sales for home builders, and you take a look at from June to July, people standing in line writing new contracts. Single-family home construction fell 2.2%. New home sales fell 13.4% from June to July, and that means the signing of a contract. So I'm going to be anxious to see how many escrows fall out. That don't close. Harder to do on a new home deal because a lot of times you put up a lot of money up front directly to the builder, and if you've opted for any upgrades and those kind of things, you got to pay those in cash. So you're less likely to maybe walk away from a new home contract if you got maybe 10 or 15 grand sitting there in things you've paid for. But you deal more with the new home builders than I do. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few cancels out there, but we could get in the bubble. I don't think there's, we're at a bubble. I think we had a huge undercorrection. Now we're overcorrected, and we have people with value. So it's kind of it's not a bubble. It's kind of stalled out a little bit in terms of more inventory, whether it's housing. People are instead of just jumping, they're stopping and saying, well, this guy's going to build down here, and this house just came up as a resale over here, and this came over here. So I'm going to look at all this now and see what I want to get. I don't think they're stalling to not buy, especially as interest rates are still good. But
I think you're onto something there. Well, this week particularly had more clients of mine who have been looking for a long time get into contract. Some of them were waiting for a short sale. Some of them just found something they wanted. And I think some of that is the sellers now. What we may have come across now is a little bit of a swap from being a total seller's market where the seller is basically coming and overpricing the house 10% over what it really should sell for right off the bat and getting it. Now they're looking around going, damn, my house has been sitting for a little bit. Now they're maybe getting more realistic and they're taking a price that's in line with where things should be. Or in some cases, they might even be willing to take a little less to get it. Or
they're giving a little seller concession to the buyer, which we didn't see any of that for 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
Is there still like 20 offers going on?
It depends. And John and I don't sell real estate, so we only hear what our customers are going through. And there are markets where there is still multiple offers going in on the house, and you may have to overbid. And there are markets where there are not. And I'll give you 2 examples that are probably side by side. You take Citrus Heights and Roseville. Citrus Heights has probably, if you look from 269 on up price, there's probably 90 houses there on the market. Most of the stuff under 260 is in escrow. You go right next door, just north of that to Roseville, anything in that price range will be gone, and they're getting multiple offers if the house is priced right. So it just kind of depends on what market you're in, and again, there's nothing wrong with Citrus Heights, and I own a house in Citrus Heights. If it's priced right, it'll sell. If you're trying to get a Roseville price for a Citrus Heights home, someone will look around and say, you know what, I think I'll just wait. And I think John was right. He said people maybe are looking around going, okay, rates there was a super panic when rates are 3.5%, right? 3.5 to 3.75. You're like, damn, I know this isn't going to hold, so I better get out and find something. So I might take something that isn't exactly my number one choice for house, but it's good. But at 3.5%, it's great. At 5%, I'll wait and find what I want. And that's what I'm starting to see now is, you know what? I'll wait a little bit. When I find the exact house priced right, I'll jump on it. If rates are 5%, they're 5%.
Yeah, I would say it slowed down as far as the offers. There's still, for the right price, the right house, there's still multiple, but not your 20, 30 and what you were seeing, where Blackstone had it tied up, and then all these other people, as Jeff said, with the low rates. So it's changed a little bit, but we're still, I would say, in a people say we're in a normal market. I would say we are not in a normal market because the government is, in control of rates.
We're not in a normal market because we don't have a normal supply of houses.
Right.
I mean, we've got basically 4.5 to 5 weeks of houses at most, and a normal market's probably 6 months worth of houses, right, maybe. So we don't have a true, volume of properties you can go look at. We're still skewed toward a seller, and that'll be for a while. And as more and more values continue to come up, this is the only maybe the good side out of it is that we're in a little bit of a feeding frenzy has pulled up some values, and people now who a year ago couldn't sell now can sell. People a year ago who couldn't refinance now can in many cases. So that's going to help a lot of things, I think. We did not get a winner yet. We've to our quiz question. We've given out numbers of clues, including the guy who went spastic on the radio there. Exxon is not right, although it'd be interesting to see what Exxon sales are per hour. Apple is not right, but getting close. So if you know the answer, $150,000 per minute of retail sales. Is it they consider the number one, or does it say that, or just says
doesn't say that?
Doesn't say it. It just gives them a quote. So 339-1140 and 1-800-920-1140 if you know the answer to that. Speaking of for sale, anybody want to buy a BlackBerry? Or how would you
Kent Smith?
How would you like to buy BlackBerry? I mean, like all of them,
like the whole company,
the whole shoot and caboodle match there. Analysts estimate BlackBerry's assets are currently less than the company's market cap. So they add up basically everything that BlackBerry has. Cash, you get a $1.5 billion in cash. You get $1.3 billion in network and subscribers. You get $1.2 billion in patents. That's $4 billion, and their market cap is 5.6. So I'm guessing you're not going to be offering full price for BlackBerry. And then maybe we could call Steve Ballmer. He's got $11 billion. Maybe he could just buy BlackBerry outright, and he could get into the mobile business. I mean, you could buy it for probably $4 billion. You get $1.5 billion in cash to go with it. So BlackBerry going backwards quickly. And you talk about an ultimate flame. So if you want to blame somebody, Microsoft is still making a whole gobs of money. Blame these guys. These guys screwed up big time. They own the world. Everybody had a BlackBerry, Crackberry. I mean, everybody had one. Now, it just I don't know
one person with one.
I know two people.
Maybe two.
The thing that has saved BlackBerry, I think, and if you're a BlackBerry expert, you can give me a call, is that I think that their security network. So I know a lot of guys like our buddy who works for the state. That he has
federal.
Yeah, he has to use a BlackBerry, and some of the guys that tell me that they're in the securities business will use BlackBerries for their business purposes only. And I don't know the exact logic why, but they tell me this is the security feature of the BlackBerry that the iPhone and other things don't have. So maybe there's something in there you can buy. Maybe that's the patent that's worth a bunch of money. So we've got to take one more quick break. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. I am going to come back and talk to you about what FHA did this week, and it is going to be good news for some of you and maybe many of you. So if you had a short sale, bankruptcy, foreclosure, some major traumatic financial event 12 months or more ago, and you've been stuck on the sidelines because you can't buy yet, I have some news for you when you come back. So we'll cover that when we come back. And a couple of little things as well. We'll get to those too. I did see that the judge in Sacramento has put the bullet train maybe on ice for a little bit, so maybe we're going to do that. I'm still holding for the Hyperloop. Anybody else with me on the Hyperloop?
I'm Hyperloop.
Did you see the Hyperloop?
No.
You didn't see the Hyperloop?
No.
You been singing or what?
No.
No, okay, we'll talk about the Hyperloop when we come back too, but it's going to be way cooler than the bullet train. You could be on the Hyperloop.
The bullet train's so old school.
Bullet train's old school. Hyperloop is the way to go. What happens if you can't get out of the tube? That's what I want to know. Is there little exits? Anyway, we'll talk about that. 339-1140. You got a quiz question for us?
Sure.
We did not get a winner.
I'm shocked.
Okay.
Let me give you a formula for the winning thing.
Okay.
$78 billion in revenue.
Yep.
Divided by the amount of minutes per year will give you the answer of 150,000.
Okay.
A minute.
And you're selling
this
Windows.
This company generated nearly $78 billion in revenue in a year, which comes out to $150,000 of sales every minute.
Yep, and they're called Microsoft. You have to pay slight attention here. These quiz questions are not that hard. I just gave it away. Yeah.
Did somebody get it?
No, nobody got it.
Unbelievable.
We're on to another quiz question. And look it. If you cannot wake up on time, we're moving on without you.
That's right. There we go. That's how we roll.
This is a
Hyperloop
This
style.
is a 4-hour show and a 15-minute segment. You got to pay attention. And the other quiz question I gave you, hell, they're never going to get that.
No, they're not.
I mean, it's just never going to happen. Even though we could give it out as Warren Buffett's hometown, that might help them a little bit. What's your quiz question?
So, second quiz question. Here we go. Obesity. We're talking about childhood obesity and obesity in the U.S.
You call me fat, Richard?
Which state has the highest obesity rate currently?
Yeah, and that one I would not have got.
I told you what my answer was. I was wrong.
But
I can tell you right now, it is not New York.
And I would not have guessed New York. I would have guessed...
Well, they were the ones with the 32-ounce sodas trying to cut them down.
They have a fathead mayor. They don't have a fat people. So the state with the highest obesity rate for everybody or for kids?
Specifically for kids.
For kids, okay. I would not have got that one. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. We'll leave our Pablo Cruz tickets out there. The Artisan Flatbread Pizza. And remember, people who are moderate alcohol drinkers gain less weight over time than people who abstain from drinking. So I will be doing some weight loss practice tonight. In the which state has the highest obesity rate for children in the United States currently? This is Talkin' Money. 339-1140. You can text us at 441140. We're gonna be
right
back.
Jack.
And now, it's time to get lucky with Jeff Tarbell.
Right.
The legend of the Phoenix.
I'm gonna have to go back to those pop brownies. I think I'm not keeping up with the '70s here with Chris today.
See, you made the mistake of letting me choose.
No, hey, I don't push any buttons over here. I'm just sit here, and when the microphone goes on, I talk, and when it goes off, I shut up. So
that's not too true.
That's not true. Yeah, it's true. We've got so our quiz question that John threw out there. People are calling and everybody's saying Mississippi and different places, but I have not given out the answer yet though. But it is an interesting question. So signs of progress in childhood obesity. They did a survey from 2008 to 2011. Which states are getting better? You did get a winner? Okay. And so John can read it. But there's what I noticed on that chart there, John, is the ones in white did not participate in the study. And so I think Texas was one that wasn't in the study, and I think Louisiana was one that wasn't in the study. Interesting. But so as of 2011, which state had the highest obesity rate?
California.
Really?
Yep. California, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, all above 15%. And then our lowest, Montana, Idaho, New Mexico, Colorado, and Hawaii, 11% and below. Okay. Which I was shocked. I think with all the activity in California and all that. But the thing that always gets me is the measurement of obesity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obese. Check me out.
I am too.
I'm monstrous, right? Are you kidding me? So
if you look at those charts, I always say when you go to the doctor's office, that chart that on the wall, the blue chart, you get off that thing, you're like, I'm literally going to have to hack off my right leg, and I will just get back into the scale of being, I don't think even when I was like 9, I was probably obese at that, according to the scale there, and so, and I grew up in a poor white family. We didn't even have food, so I mean, it was still there. Anyway, I don't get it, but anyway, so California was number 1 on the list.
So mom didn't start making cookies until you were older.
She just said you're on your own there. Here, have some Metafast. You got Metafast and Metafast. You're on your own there, boy. I'm teaching something, and I ain't teaching you how to cook. So we did get a quiz winner to that. Did they take the concert tickets, or did they take? So we still have Pablo Cruz tickets. Really?
We might need to go.
Pablo Cruz actually wouldn't be too bad. You know who I wanted to see, and I think I gave away the tickets last night. Was
Celine Dion.
No, but did you see that house? Celine Dion's house? That isn't a house. That's like a water world. That's like Wally World.
She's listed her Florida compound for $72.5 million.
Can I ask one question first? When does your house go from becoming a house to an estate to a compound? What is the difference?
When it's 5.7 acres, 10,000 square feet, with 5 additional homes around it, with a front porch swimming pool that looks like that.
That's bigger than the hotel she works at.
Wow. That looks
like Wayne's house.
Insane.
Yeah, that is.
Is it Wayne? I knew it.
That's it.
You rich guys are hard to pick up right off the bat like that, but I got you. And so Wayne was asking. Wayne's got all kinds of good questions. So this is when you should call in because would help the show go along when you're listening on the other end.
Shy.
But you're on the phone. I don't know. I won't know.
Yeah, I know.
And you were a rock singer.
Yeah, it's weird.
You don't.
I'm a weird fellow.
You don't. Rock singers aren't supposed to be shy. You guys are getting up there holding your junk and yelling at girls on the stage. I mean, how can you possibly be shy? So Wayne's comment during the break. We're actually the best part of the show is actually when we're off the air, as usual.
All the time.
Was so Wayne's thought was in Wayne's world that we are on the way down in terms of house prices. So give me your theory again.
Well, slow jobs.
Yep.
If the supply, increases, but I don't know if it will. But
so your biggest hitch is you think that there's going to be employment's going to drag down everything else.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with that. And the reason you're starting to see glimpses now. So what did UPS do this week? UPS, if not one of the largest employers in the United States, they may not be the largest, but they're one of them. This week came out and said because of upcoming healthcare rules, they will no longer cover your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
University of Virginia, I think it was, came out and said we'll no longer cover your spouse. So you're starting to see now the first tickle of, okay, we're not going to penalize the employee. We're just not going to do anything else for anybody else, in their family. One other employer came out and said if your spouse has eligibility for health care benefits somewhere else, we're not going to give them to your your spouse or your family. So you're starting to see now the first little ripples.
There's also a few banks out there laying off a few thousand people.
Yeah, Wells Fargo cut 2,300. Chase is cutting some people. But that is different than what Wayne's talking about. I mean, that certainly losing employees. This is not because of health care.
Correct.
This is because of interest rates have gone up and they got too many people. But what we're starting to see now is the really the beginning of the Obamacare plan. And why do you think they want to push it off for full implementation until January of 2014 rather than now? Because there's an election in November. And if you lose your job because your employer or have your job hours cut back to half-time, and your employer says it's directly because of the new law of health care, and you go into the voting booth, regardless of which side you're voting for, and whoever you are voting for, if you have the opinion that they cost you part of your job, you ain't voting for them. It don't matter. I don't care which color button you're pushing. If you think the person that you're voting for was responsible for losing your job or part of it or downgrading, you won't vote for them. So they're going to push it off. And you're now starting to see a lot of people maybe not getting laid off, but you're getting downgraded to part-time or semi-full-time positions. So I agree with Wayne. We haven't seen that in full swing yet. We'll start to see that in January. One of the things that John and I were countering with is that when you have bad economic news, and that would certainly be any sort of a turn back in unemployment going back up, because it's been consistently kind of slowly coming down, would be considered bad unemployment or bad economic news. You will then see mortgage rates generally respond favorably to, so rates do good with bad news. So you might see rates trickle back down again, which could then pull some more people back into the housing market too. But I think Wayne's premise is right. If you don't have a job or you don't feel comfortable about your job, or they come in and say, we're going to go to 3/4 pay for a while, you may not want to buy a house and do some of those things. So
a lot of headline news too. You know, housing recovery lifts Home Depot. It's lifting a lot of different companies out there. People are taking money. It turns out the bigger chunk of U.S. consumer spending is going to spruce up their homes. We have another article here: when your house buys a boat or a sports car.
That.
So a lot of people, 40% increase in home equity lending at Wells Fargo from the first quarter to the second quarter of 2013. So a lot of equity, a lot of upswing. I think the people that are working, there's a bigger swing that direction than maybe the people that aren't, and they're starting to use their homes and they have this equity. So I think there's a lot going on there in the higher end. I mean, all these articles, you know, $4 million teacher, $72 million house for sale. You know, the guy at the U.S. Open that strictly is the official hairstylist for the U.S. Open. Did you see that?
No.
The guy apparently cuts 30 to 50 people's hair a day at the U.S. Open.
Of just the golfers or the...
This would be tennis. U.S. Open tennis.
Well, there's a
Richard.
There's U.S. Open of golf.
Anyhow,
right, Chris?
Yeah.
So
that was back in June.
Oh, well, hell, I'm not. You know, U.S. Open. I don't know which U.S. Open he's talking about.
Pretty sure there's a U.S. Open for almost every sport.
I'm pretty sure
there probably is. So how do you get the haircutting job? How much is that guy making? Because I can.
He's doing pretty well. Apparently, he's had this official hairstylist for the U.S. Open since 2010. He's got a couple other salons in Manhattan. He's got a few in, the one there right at the U.S. Open of tennis.
Okay.
And
I want the golf job. I'm going to compete with him. Golf haircuts are better than tennis.
He cuts the hair of Rafael Nadal. He's a superstar.
Okay.
But I didn't realize that there was an official hairstylist at the U.S. Open.
Sure there is. If they can brand it, they'll sell it.
Absolutely.
Right, Wayne?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
You could be the official car dealer of the U.S. Open. That would be sweet.
Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Okay, we'll work on that during the break. We got to take a break, Chris. That you're telling me? Okay, you sure?
Already?
I know my clock doesn't say 10 o'clock yet.
That's because you're supposed to take your break before 10 o'clock.
Right. This Mr. Rule follower in there. Ever since he's got that big job. Okay, we got to take a quick break for the top of the hour. When we come back, I promise I will get into bring up the announcement from HUD this week on the FHA program. And we've also got a couple gentlemen here who want to talk about the arena. I'm guessing they might be for it. I don't think so. You think so?
They're smiling.
So. Yeah,
this is good.
One guy's carrying a bat, so we better look good here. This is Talkin' Money. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, Jack.
Talkin' Money! And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing?
Good morning. Everybody's awake now. Thanks for joining in.
We start at 9-ish, and we already in hour 2 of 2. I hope you caught hour 1 because it was probably the best hour we've ever done ever. I mean, the history of radio.
Probably.
I know. It was all Chris's rejoiners that made that link for us to...
Still trying to figure out what voice that is.
I don't know, because he doesn't talk like that normally. So he comes out of there with... anyway, it's a work in progress, John, and I want to encourage our staff to continue to better themselves, so we'll hold that out there. We did have a few more people walk into the studio during the break there, and we're now at full capacity. The fire department will be running a few of us out here before the break. So I did mention before we get into our arena discussion, part two, that I teased during the last hour, there were some important changes this week that came out. I want to cover those for a little bit. Probably what I'll do is talk about this for a few minutes, do your quiz question, maybe take a little earlier break than normal, Chris, and then we'll come back and we'll give these guys a good 2 long full segments. So I'm sure there will be some phone callers that maybe want to jump in or text us today. So let me give out those numbers as well. And let me tell you who's in the studio. Josh Wood. Do you go by Josh or Joshua?
Either
way. Just as long as it's somewhere in the vicinity of that.
It's close enough.
Yeah, Joshua is what your mom calls you when you're in trouble, and Josh is the rest of us.
Absolutely.
Executive Director of Region Builders, the DowntownArena.org Executive Committee. James Battles is here. He's with the Crown Downtown. And so they're going to come in and talk about the pro arena side and maybe have a little feedback. If you see, it was August 3rd when we had the stop group sent in, and a representative, Tab Berg, came in and talked to us on August 3rd for a full hour. Had a lot of calls and questions for him. We actually replayed that show last week, and we'll discuss why we did that in a little bit. But first, before we get to that, I did mention this week was an interesting week. FHA, which is HUD, came out and announced this week they're going to make some pretty interesting changes, or they're going to allow a little variance to what happens. And I mentioned before that if you had a short sale, a foreclosure, a bankruptcy, you had some demonstrated obvious economic turmoil in your life sometime in the last year or more, typically you have to wait anywhere between 3, so John's holding up 2, 4, 5. So there's different rules, but everybody thinks it's somewhere between 2 to 5 years of waiting period. And what HUD came out this week and said was, if you can demonstrate a financial hardship that can be documented, and what we're talking about is basically a 20% decrease in your household income. So, for example, you lost your job, or you lost as many hours as you had, or you were sick or ill and had to take some time off, or whatever the reason is. And I would say everything except for divorce. And that's the number one call we get is hey, we split up, my household income went down by half. They don't consider that to be out of your control. Now, I get it. If you wake up in the morning and you roll over and your wife ain't there, that's out of your control. But maybe you should have been a better husband, slacker. But anyway, that one doesn't fall into the financial category. So I'll talk about this some more next week. But there are some pretty important changes. And basically what they're going to allow you to do is if you can document a 20% decline in your income, then they will allow you within 12 months, if you've reestablished yourself and your income is settled down and your credit is settled down, 12 months or more, you can get back into a HUD or FHA loan. And that's a big change. I mean, that could put some of you 2 years faster than you thought. So there are some pluses and minuses we can discuss, and we'll discuss those in depth more next week. But if that's something that you think might apply to you, and I'm sure it does a lot of you, and you don't want to wait 3 years, and you don't believe, Wayne, that houses are on the downslide, you want to get a house full of prices that are still reasonable and rates are still reasonable, that might be something to consider. So you can call us during the week and discuss that, or we can cover that some more next week. Is there anything about that you can think of that would be major?
Just gotta make sure you have documentation, which means your last pay stub, the next pay stub you had, your letter you got from your employer that says that you're not working here anymore.
Tax return.
Document.
Yeah. So, and one key fact you have to keep in mind is, so let's say that only John was on the loan, on the original loan when he did the loan, and then John comes in and says, okay, my wife lost some of her income, during that period of time. If John's wife was not on the loan with him, then that doesn't count. So they're going to go back and look and see, okay, who qualified for this loan initially? Who was the borrowing entity? If it was you and your wife, then both of you. If it was just you, then whoever was on the loan has to experience the income. Now, certainly it makes sense that if John's wife loses her job, and even though John was the only one on the loan, the household went down in income. We know that. But that doesn't meet the criteria, if that makes sense. And as I mentioned, divorce does not count either. So you have to prove that your income has become stable. Also, they don't want to throw you into a new loan when you still have the same issue going on as you had before. So some things to think about there, and we'll cover that more in depth. And you can find some more information at jefftarbell.com if you want to get some information on that during the week. So enough of that. We're going to, Chris, why don't we do that? Why don't we take a kind of just an early first break? John's got a quiz question for you, and we'll come back and we'll have two nice long segments with the Downtown Arena Group. If you want to do that, what's on your quiz plate there, Johnny?
Well, we have Uncle Sam.
Yeah, we do.
Uncle Sam here. So the question is, how many taxpayers renounced their citizenship, or how many taxpayers renounced their citizenship in 2013?
So you didn't want to be a U.S. citizen anymore.
That's correct.
And there's about a 15-step process to doing that, and I'm not kidding.
It's not easy. You can't just say.
And you got to pay a fee. So we'll cover.
Right.
I'll cover that next week on how you. But that is the highest year ever that the number of citizens have said, I don't want to be a U.S. citizen anymore. So that's a big step. So I mean, what do you want to be if you don't want to be a U.S. citizen? I guess you can go to Canada there, eh? Their taxes aren't any cheaper. So how many people renounced their U.S. citizenship in 2013, and that was the highest year in at least on their chart.
On record,
On record. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can just get close to it because you're either going to guess some super high number or some super low number. So if you know the answer to that, we'll take that. Let's take a quick first break. When we come back, Josh Wood, James Battles, the Region Builders, Crown Downtown, DowntownArena.org. There's all kinds of names and acronyms here. I need you guys to put stickers on your forehead. Which group am I today? So we're going to cover all that when you come back. And we'll see if these guys can make a half-court shot, too. So we'll be right back. Right, we are back. And got our plate full now for the rest of the show today. We welcome your calls and your texts if you are someone who's following along with the arena discussion, pro or against. And maybe you're not against the arena. Maybe you're just against not having a vote. I think that's kind of was the message that the stop group was trying to get when they were here on August 3rd. We replayed their segment last Saturday in hour 2 again because there's been some issues that have come out since that original broadcast. So joining me in the studio today, Josh Wood, who's with the Executive Director of Region Builders, James Battles, who's with the Crown Downtown Group. So I'm going to start with you guys the same way I started with Tab, which is how did you get here? Who are you representing? Who pays you to do what you do, if anybody? And so just a little background on your own background on how you're involved and why you're involved. So Josh, I'll start with you because you're right in front of me. So give us your bio.
Background, I work for Region Builders. It's a commercial building industry advocacy organization. I'm paid through the membership association, so dues and whatnot, donations from members and all the other things that make any trade association work.
Okay. So the commercial building, so what's the interest for the Commercial Building Association? What is their hope?
I think their hope is the same as a lot of people, which is that there'll actually be work in Sacramento to do. The arena is supposed to create 4,000 jobs. A lot of those are construction jobs. The downtown core has not really fulfilled the opportunity that it has for development and for making Sacramento a lot better place for people to want to go downtown and have new restaurants, bars, and nightlife and all the kind of things that you would expect. And I think we see an opportunity for people to be able to actually build projects in the city they live in and actually have it be a better place. Right now, most of my members, they live in Sacramento and they have to drive to San Jose or Santa Rosa, Bay Area. That's where they have to go to get work.
Right.
So this gives them an opportunity to actually do something in their home city.
So your trade group, prior to the arena discussion, are there other things and projects and things you guys have been behind, or other things that have been like this that you guys won't? Or you're constantly doing things? What do you guys do besides the arena? Any other project, or this has been the big mothership, huh?
Well, this is definitely the number one priority. There's other things that we've done. A lot of what we do is much more smaller scale stuff. Working with building departments on trying to streamline their process, advocating for fees to make sense, things like that. That's really what we spend the majority of our time on in the past.
And so, are your members the individual contractors, individual workers, or you guys represent companies, or a little bit of both?
No, we don't represent workers. We're a trade association, so it's going to be companies from the industry. It's a coalition organization, so there's 13 trade associations that all work together on a local level.
Okay.
Basically to use region builders as their way to voice their political concerns and try to engage in making the process better. It is from a swath of the commercial building industry, architects, engineers, contractors, subcontractors, allied firms, real estate professionals. So it's a very large coalition.
So similar to BIA a little bit, where maybe they're a little more residential focused. You guys might be more on the commercial side in terms of your membership.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I usually just joke. Yeah, we're a commercial version of BIA.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And then also joining us, James Battles, who's here with the Crown Downtown group, and James is a resident of the city of Sacramento, as he pointed out to me.
Correct. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So how did you? So who is Crown Downtown?
Well, Crown Downtown actually started about 2011. It was started by Mike Tavares and Justin Marshall, and it actually began a little bit before that. They had been attending city council meetings before that, and it was around 2011 that I ran into these guys. I was attending city council meetings out of concerns of the economic direction our city was heading. I happened to run into these guys. I was impressed that we have a 20 and 30 something crowd that was taking interest in our city. And I thought, you know what, this is something I want to be a part of. And that's how I got involved with it.
So Crown Downtown, do they have any financial backing, or are they supported by anybody or other than your own members?
Right. We're actually self-supporting. We are an LLC. So you can go onto our website, which is crowndowntown.org.
Okay.
A list of our donors is listed on there. Our donors happen to be us. Contrary to our opponents, we buy our own T-shirts. The video equipment for the videos that we've made to tout the benefits of the arena have been paid for with our group membership.
Okay. And so Crown Downtown, when you guys had started in 2003, you said?
It actually was 2011.
Oh, it's 11, okay.
And, I know Mike Tavares was actually attending city council meetings before that, and Justin Marshall.
So that would have been back when they were talking about over the rail yard even?
Correct, yeah. We were definitely involved in the discussion during the rail yards. We attended Urban Land Institute meetings. We attended meetings at the Union Pacific Depot. So we've been involved in every community meeting that's gone on. Council meetings, we've been there for the past 2 years, for a long time. Let me put it that way.
Okay. So your group wants to see something in a downtown corridor rather than another arena out in Natomas or something else to that effect. That's your group's hope.
Absolutely. When the first term sheet fell apart, we did not stop with our efforts. We still believe that the core principle of this is to revitalize downtown Sacramento with a centrally located entertainment sports complex that will have economic benefits spill over into the surrounding area.
Okay. So now we know who the player. Is there any other player that I would say was on your side of the ledger that's not here that we should know about? Because there seems to be a lot of acronyms and people. I'm not sure I've got them all figured out.
Absolutely, actually, the DowntownArena.org coalition is comprised of region builders, Crown Downtown, the Metro Chamber, the Central Labor Council, and then if you look on our website, there's a list of
supporters and
a lot of different organizations that are actually part of this group. This is definitely a coalition of Sacramento's. I don't know what's the best word for it. It's a coalition of groups in Sacramento who you could say don't always work together and are often on the opposite sides of issues, but when it comes to this issue with the arena, we are all on the same page.
So the DowntownArena.org is kind of the tent under which you guys are all individually operating or working?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I think I got it figured out now. So we've got a couple things that have went on. So you guys, I think James even called in on August 3rd. I invited the stop group to come in. Initially, they declined, and then they did agree to send in a representative. His name was Tab Berg, who was here on August 3rd. If you've caught that show live, we had it replayed last Saturday. So you guys heard that show, and there's been some things that have come out since that his appearance here that maybe we can discuss. So I guess maybe we'll start with what are your feedbacks? He was here on the 3rd. I appreciate them coming out. I quite frankly thought Tab was a pretty reasonable guy. He was fairly low key and made his points. And so was there anything within that interview or that discussion, which is maybe one of the first ones he's done on air, that you guys take offense to or take a claim against?
Yeah, when I called in on August 3rd, Tab Berg gets paid to be a political consultant. He gets paid to be a political hack. I'm using his words. This is on his Twitter account. So we knew he wasn't doing this out of the generosity of his heart. And that's why I wanted to know at that time whether he had been paid or would be paid. Now, he dodged the question pretty effectively. But now that after the complaint with the FPPC went forward, and it was revealed that he did receive a $9,000 payout, that wasn't reported on I believe the most recent campaign filing disclosure, but he was paid. So that the money that Tab Berg got paid is directly linked to, you can trace it right back to the $100,000 that Chris Hansen donated to this cause. And it was disingenuous for him to sit behind a microphone and say that he wasn't going to get paid and his contract hadn't been signed.
So now that we know that, and I'm looking at a letter you guys sent out to all maybe all the press, and I got a copy of this from August 19th. This is an open letter you guys sent to Chris Hansen in San Francisco. Basically, I'll summarize it. We'd like to express our utter shock and disappointment that you didn't fess up to it, and we found out you did it. You sent $100,000 in, and basically this letter, if I read it right, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you want the signatures that were gathered by whatever means through his funding to be thrown out, to be disregarded, and do we know where those signatures are?
That's a great question. We don't know where the signatures are. We know that they have them, and our belief is, since he paid for them, he has the ability to get them back. He has not responded to our letter to answer
Shocker.
the question that would come. However, he should. He has the ability. In our opinion, it's as simple as him picking up the phone, making a call, and fixing this situation. We spent earlier this week, or right after that letter, on the radio in Seattle and talking to different media sources in Seattle, and they are distraught. They feel that he has absolutely destroyed their ability to have a team for a generation.
Wow.
And we are trying to give him an opportunity to fix it, for not only for his city, but for ours. And it's a really simple request. We're disappointed that he hasn't decided to get those signatures back. But what's even worse is Stop's admitted now, and their executive committee members admitted, that these signatures were collected with lies, with deceptions. You've seen the videos, you've seen the pictures. They've told people misinformation to get them. One of the campaign members, one of the head leaders for Stop, basically said that the signatures were collected by, I think, what did she use the word, thugs? Or yes, I mean, they really have gone out of their way to say that these signatures are bad. Yet we followed up after we sent the letter to Hansen to them to say, you also have the opportunity not to take those signatures. And their decision is that they need these signatures, so they decided that they're going to use them. Why do they need those signatures? Because they've tried this before. And they do not have local support. There is no local movement for a vote. And really, their argument that this is about a vote isn't true either, because why else would they name themselves Stop? It was funny because we were getting interviewed in a different show, and we were being asked, well, Stop tells us that they're not trying to stop anything. and all you can do is laugh, right? It's not here we vote, it's stop. They're trying to stop the arena project, and it's going to stop the progress for our city.
So let me, we're going to take a break here in just a minute. Let me ask you let me jump on the stop side for just a minute. What are we afraid of? So we get enough signatures together. Why do we not want to vote?
Well, here's what we know, Jeff. We know that Chris Hansen stated he was approached by members of the arena opponents to make a donation. We know that Julian Camacho and Jim Cathcart flew to Orange County for what they describe as the strategy meetings, although they don't know who they met with. Chris Hansen donated $100,000. Sacramento voters had a right to know who was funding that arena drive. Gary Winnick of the FPPC stated that it was deceptive behavior that was aimed at depriving the Sacramento public with knowledge it's entitled to. What we're saying is the voters of Sacramento had a right to know who was funding that before those petitions even went out, and that didn't happen.
Okay, so I'm going to take one quick break. I'm going to come back to that again though too, because I know the answer, and I also know that crazy things can happen if you get it on a ballot, and that's one of the things we can discuss. And we want to come back and discuss some of the positive things, because you guys are here you're not here just for your health. You're not here just to see an arena go up. There's things that come with it. There's positive things. Obviously, your trade group hopes that there's jobs that come with it, and of course, if you can start building something, someone's got to swing the hammer and put the steel together. So that there's certainly going to be some jobs and some offsets. So we'll talk about some of the hopes and wishes and timelines that you guys see for the arena. If you want to jump in and throw in your questions there, you can do that too. You can text me if you want. You don't want to be on the air. You can text us at 441140. You want to give us a call and jump in, pro or anti stop or start or slow down or speed bump or whatever you want to be. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. If you think you might get a job out of this, and I don't mean a job like a political job, I mean like a real job.
J-O-B.
A J-O-B, yeah. Then we'd like to hear from you as well. John has what are you holding there in your hand there, young man?
A little quiz question.
Okay, one more. Do we still have Pablo Cruz tickets? I can't read lips. So we didn't have an answer to the last one. I don't even
remember. That was a tough one.
That was a tough one. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so coming from Philadelphia, born and raised, I have a question for you here. So how many Philadelphians went to the Wells Fargo Center last Sunday to watch new paint on the ice dry? The Flyers were attempting to set a Guinness World Record for the most people to simultaneously watch paint dry.
Okay.
But since no Guinness record representative was present, it didn't count. How many Philadelphians went to the Wells Fargo Center on Sunday to help the Flyers watch paint dry on the ice?
There has got to be absolutely nothing going on in Philadelphia this time of year. Or maybe they just had the air conditioning going. It was just hot and steamy back there. So, well, I guess maybe we could have one at the new arena. We could paint something. We could all watch it dry. Oh, that's okay. Well, you could find that many people. That's how many people were doing the pop brownies too the same weekends. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. Quite frankly, if you're anywhere near that answer, we'll give you something. We'll be right back.
Talkin' money! Talkin' money! Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Are you one of the 195 people that are watching paint dry, which is sometimes like listening to this show? 158. I give them way too much credit. So someone had guessed 5,000, and I would have picked a larger number too, just because it seems so obscure. But 158 people. Is that what it was? That was the answer. Okay, so 158 people watch paint dry, and they're probably on their way to Colorado right now to get their brownies. We are joined in studio. Got a couple phone lines open if you want to jump in today. 339-1140. Interested to hear your comments if you care to venture them, or you can text us at 441140. Josh Wood, the executive director of Region Builders, James Battles from the Crown Downtown, both here under the banner of the downtownarena.org, here to talk about where we go here and maybe some timelines. I think there's some things that are interesting to note. During the break, Josh was telling me that so their group can gather all their signatures together, and they're required to hold them all for basically one drop. Is that right?
Yeah, they get one drop at the end of December.
Okay.
And we have, between now and then, we can turn in our petition withdrawals.
Okay.
The second that they turn in their signatures, we can't turn in anymore.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so you have to have yours there. But the part that I think that bothers me a little bit is that you said that it's a random verification. So if I walk in the door with 30,000 signatures of anything, they're only going to randomly sample rather than going through and making sure they're all accurate. Right now, their plan is to just randomly pick out a few and make sure that they're accurate.
Well, yeah, they have the ability. That's what the typical process is. You just do a random sampling to figure out how many are accurate. Our concern is that not only were these signatures collected with false information, but the firm who collected them, Momentum Political Services, if you just Google their name, the first 3 pages is accusations of basically not following the rules. Forging signatures is what the accusations are. If they were turned into the Secretary of State, the B has articles on them, KCRA. It's just a list of different articles on them doing that. So what we did is on Friday, we sent a letter into the city of Sacramento asking the city clerk to direct the county election officials to make sure that they actually go in and individually verify each and every one of those signatures. So if, let's say, someone went through and filled out someone's name and just signed something, you would be able to then look at that signature versus the voter file and say, okay, this is not their signature, and be able to throw those out. And that's what we are asking them to do.
And that would take a hell of a lot of time.
Yes.
So let's back up for 1 second. What are they collecting signatures to vote on? Are they because you guys described it as a vote of a vote or a vote on a vote. So let's say this is to pass and they get enough signatures. So what would go on the ballot? What would it say in June? Do you guys know?
Well, the exact language, I'm a little unclear about the exact language, but it basically says that before the city undertakes a private-public partnership or leverages the parking garages, that it requires a vote of the Sacramento voters, city of Sacramento voters.
But that's not what they're voting on in the first vote. So the first vote is to say, do you want us to put on the ballot again next time a vote on the actual deal?
Exactly.
So really, instead of saying, okay, let's just get it all done in June, what you're saying is let's decide if we want to do it in June, then we'll push it either to November or back to June again. So it's a way of kind of pushing it down because if it passes, then they have more time to defer the project, if you will.
Its intent is to stop or delay this project and cause the city to miss the deadlines with the NBA. That's the bottom line.
And I asked this of Tab, are you familiar with any other project that this group has been against? And I asked, the city spends millions of dollars on a water treatment plant. They spend it on a elderly care facility in different areas. The city does a lot of things where and has this group ever stepped up and said, boy, we just don't like the city being involved in anything?
Well, at the debate on Thursday, Councilman Steve Hansen actually asked Tab that question, and he gave a list of project after project after project that the city has done where there's been public financing that's been part of that package or public-private partnerships, and asked them, why haven't you opposed any of these projects? And
he stole that from me, a sucker.
Yep. And he had no answer. He basically changed the subject.
Yeah. And and I missed it this week, but there was the Sac Press Club had a debate this week. And so Tab was there? I thought he wasn't with the group anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the Stop group actually requested that Tab be their representative at the debate. So I know that there was an article about him not being part of the campaign, but Stop actually requested that he come and present for them. And I think it makes sense of why they did. They don't want to have to answer these hard questions themselves. So they wanted someone who they thought could do a better job of answering them.
And it's worth noting that the city's right now looking at expanding the convention center to a tune of $200 million.
Yeah.
Another $58 million for the community center theater. There's they have no opposition to that. They haven't even spoken out against it. The city in March issued revenue bonds for $215 million, and that was for the revenue bonds for the water treatment. There was no discussion on that. This is clearly about people that want to stop progress in the city of Sacramento.
Well, if they wanted to stop progress, they would stop the other things too. So this has some sort of a sports connotation to it. I do believe there's a sports connotation, but I do believe, I don't want to take anything away from the opposition. I don't want to paint them with a broad brush, and I'm sure they love the city like we do. But we are fundamentally
at a disagreement on where this city is economically and where we need to be. We have 8.5% unemployment. They don't have an answer for that. Jim Cathcart, who is the treasurer of STOP, is also a member of the Sacramento Old City Association. There's a couple of members of their group that are a member of the Sacramento Old City Association. A member of their executive committee, Michael, I believe his name's Michael, correct me if I'm wrong.
Edwards.
Michael Edwards, stated that he wants this to remain a cow town. Okay? So this is the mentality and the type of emotion that we're up against. And sometimes we can change minds, sometimes we can't.
Yeah, I think the interesting argument for me, as someone who doesn't live in the city, is that the feedback that, well, we should be putting our money into more sheriffs and more schools and those things, and as if there were $500 million sitting in an account down there, and we just decided, well, screw it, let's just put it in a building and call it an arena. We'll abandon the kids in the schools and those things and the police because we've got all this cash in here. We're just going to put it over here. The cash isn't sitting there. The parking revenue isn't there right now. There is some parking revenue right now, but the parking revenue that they're financing on, as I understand it, will be generated by guys like John and I who don't live in the city, driving into the city, which we don't drive into right now, and parking our cars, getting our fat asses out and spending money and buying food and drink and stuff that we don't do right now. And my point is that a little bit of the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. I mentioned during the first hour of the show today, you look at the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants. The Oakland A's are at or the top of the league in baseball right now. The Giants cannot beat a good softball team right now. The Giants are sold out almost every game still. You can't get anybody into the Oakland Coliseum. It isn't necessarily about the players and about the success of the team. It is about the experience of being around there. If you look at two good examples that I'm very, very familiar with, besides AT&T Park, is downtown Petco Park in San Diego, the gas lamp district. When I was in college, I water skied for the college, and I was told point blank, do not be caught dead in the gas lamp district when it goes dark, or you will be caught dead in the gas lamp district when it goes dark. And if you've been down there now since Petco Field went in there, it is a complete, utter revitalization. And I see the same thing about the Staples Center and about America Live. And when I left, down there watching a hockey game, and America Live was going on, and they had something else going on at the Kodak Theater next to it. The place was just, everything in the world was going on in a 2-block radius. And I came home and I said, why can't we have that? Why can't we have a big ESPN zone? Why can't we have this? And all these things that were going on. And it wasn't just sports fans. There was people everywhere, going on around there. And you walk downtown now, and the places, in some sections of in particular where this is the morgue. And there's just nothing going on. So I dismiss the argument that we're taking money away from teachers and police and schools. We're talking about bringing in new revenue and bringing people from Placer, El Dorado, and Nevada County in the Bay Area. And we're talking about bringing in and pickpocketing them, taking their money out of their pockets and leaving it in the city. And that's how I see it. And I don't know if you guys have a similar view, but
absolutely. What we're talking about is a regional asset. It's something that, like you said, will get people who aren't living downtown to come downtown, spend their money, and then go back to their houses. That's why the projections, are $7 billion of economic activity. And I can tell you, being in the building industry, those conversations are going on now. There are lots of discussions with people calling every day, trying to figure out a way to get their hands on property downtown around this so that they can build in new restaurants and nightclubs and coffee shops and whatever else will help, make Sacramento make a profit for their company. They're really going to create a better space, and almost liken it to like CPR. This arena project is the heart, and you bring the heart back to life and make it start pumping. You're going to put blood through the rest of the body, and you're going to make the whole thing activate and make it better. This is not a question of whether or not this project is going to benefit Sacramento. If we don't do this project, I think one of the things I really wanted to point out today is there is no status quo. The NBA, we will lose this team. We will lose the opportunity at building an arena downtown. We will lose the opportunity at the jobs. We will lose the opportunity to help further our community identity. There is no we can go back to what it was and just keep the Kings and Arco. That is not an option on the table.
There is no plan B.
There is no plan B. The Stop team, they have no jobs plan. This is the jobs plan for Sacramento. It was debated publicly over years and years. The term sheet is a good deal, and I think that it's going to help move the city forward.
Let's take a couple calls real quick. People are on hold here. We'll get to them real quick. Let's go to Steve. Steve, welcome to Talkin' Money. How you doing?
Fine, Jeff. How you guys doing?
Very good. What's happening?
I've got a simple question. I hope I'm not behind the 8 ball here.
Okay.
This petition is going to be voted on people residing within the city limits of Sacramento, correct?
Correct.
Now, people signing that petition, must they be residents of Sacramento City only and not in the unincorporated areas?
Correct.
Yep. That in theory, you are right. And my hope is that, or the hope of the Downtown Arena Group is that they will go through the signatures that they get and try to verify that A, John and I didn't sign 3 times at the Costco when we each came out, and B, that we actually live in the city when we came out. So that's going to be one of the challenges, is to verify that the signatures are accurate and they're of city residents, and that isn't going to be easy.
Yeah, I agree, and that was my question. I just wanted to find out.
Steve, good call. I appreciate it, and enjoy your Saturday.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's get to Mike. Welcome to Talkin' Money. How you doing, Mike?
Very good, Jeff. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Well, on April 29th, I founded the grassroots organization Here We Ride. And I wanted to kind of put my feelings in on the arena discussion. One of the things that will need to be focused on, and our group is focusing on it now since the relocation advisory recommendation came 7-0 in favor of Sacramento, is when you have good real estate and good land use developed around an entertainment sports complex. Like you said, it's going to bring people from El Dorado, Placer, Nevada, and Yolo counties across into Sacramento. But our group is also focused on creating a balanced mix of both parkers and riders to come to the downtown area during non-traditional hours as well as traditional hours. But a lot of it is going to circulate around funding. One of the easiest things people can do in especially outlying areas, there are many light rail stations that either offer park and ride outside of city limits or park, pay and ride within city limits. And during the week, the trains are at 15-minute frequencies, and at evenings and weekends, they're at 30-minute frequencies. And it's going to be one of the easiest, most convenient ways to get into the downtown core and enjoy an afternoon and an evening in downtown Sacramento.
And do we know, in relation to a new structure down there, where would the light rail terminate or let somebody off in relation to the new building? Has anybody started laying that out? Do we know?
Yes. There is a light rail line known as the Gold Line that terminates at the Sacramento Valley Station, commonly known as the Amtrak station. There is another line that was a startup last June called the Green Line, which begins at Richards Boulevard and North 7th Street. That's the Township 9 development in Sacramento. And there's another line which on August 13th had a construction groundbreaking for an extension in South Sacramento. That line is called the Blue Line. It ends in North Sacramento at Watt Avenue and Interstate 80, not far from the radio station.
Yep.
And currently in South Sacramento, it ends at Meadowview Road near Detroit Boulevard. That is the portion of the line that will extend 4 new stations about 4.3 to 4.5 miles to Cosumnes River College. That location today has connections to Galt and Lodi, and our group on Wednesday is going to be at the Elk Grove City Council meeting testifying about the E-Tran, short-range transit plan, and advocating for local service in Elk Grove, a hub-and-spoke system, which the hub would be Casunas River College, feeding people from Elk Grove onto the light rail train at the newly constructed 2,000 space park and ride lot between Los Rios Community College District and Regional Transit that would bring people into downtown and continue on to North Sacramento.
All right, Mike, I'm gonna put you back on hold. I appreciate that, because that's a good feed for us on how you're going to get there. So that'll solve. Of course, if we have to have people park their cars, we're going to need some parking money too. So we're going to a little bit of both there. But I appreciate your input, Mike, very much. So, Chris, how are we doing on time there? Okay, so what I want to do is get your vision. So no arena equals what? What do you guys see is if the arena doesn't go forward? Where does that leave us? The NBA is already said they're gone.
Well, a perfect example to answer your question is there's a guy named Matt who's been volunteering with our campaign. Both of his parents work at the arena. He's in the construction industry. If this arena goes away, his parents lose their job. He loses the opportunity at being able to provide solar for companies downtown. If the arena goes in, his parents keep their jobs, and he gets a ton of opportunity downtown to help build a better city.
And raise and add employees and everything else, so on and so on.
You know, there's something else that factors into this too, Jeff. Last fall, city voters passed Measure U, which was the half-cent sales tax. And they passed that because simply Sacramento wasn't able to generate enough revenue. It's because we were cutting police officers and firemen, and we were closing libraries and pools, which the city voters saw a need for it there. That expires in 2019. If we're not able to grow this economy, create some jobs, create some momentum, in 2019 when that money is cut, we're going to go back to seeing police officers laid off and pools closed, and it's a bigger economic question.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And off the text line at 441140 from the 916, I've gone downtown one time in the last 3 years, and I can't wait to get down to the arena's built and surroundings are better. And the part that I used to have season tickets in Natomas, and we never went to any restaurants before we went to the game. You kind of went down there and had a beer at the thing, and you went home, because I live out in Placer County. Now to be able to, really for me to jump on the light rail at Watt Avenue, come down to the restaurant early, hang out, catch the game. Maybe don't have to catch the traffic going back. Have a drink afterwards, and just be down there a little bit and be in a nice space. Go back. The numbers.
Yeah, and as a downtownarena.org on their website shows, other benefits. We're talking about our local and a little outside of it. Think about all the other people. They're saying 3.1 million new visitors coming to the area that are going, I'm going to go check it out. Otherwise, they're going, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah, little MMA, I want hockey. I still pounding my desk for hockey. So Josh Wood, James Battles, appreciate you guys coming in very much. Good information. If you want to get more information from these gentlemen or anything else, as John referenced, downtownarena.org, and they will show you who all's involved and all the different points. And if you want to get involved, maybe you want to go out and gather some signatures against the signatures, or just get some information out there. I'm sure they'd love to have some more volunteers and some contributors as well. So that is it for another Saturday. You can catch this show if you want to hear this. If you missed part of it, you can catch it on our Talkin' Money Facebook page. Wayne, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Wayne's our Facebook winner of the day. You can find John at ComstockMortgage.com if you'd like to, or JeffTarbell.com. We are out of here for another Saturday. Be cool, be safe. We're both riding our bikes today, so don't run through any lights. We don't want to get hit. We'll see you next week, everybody. Be cool. Aloha.
Talkin' Money.